Hello, welcome to my channel. Today we are making a Super Morris red velvet cake. We're going to use the cake mix from Crocker, and these are the ingredients on the back and the instructions on the back on how to do this cake. Now, what I'm going to do with this cake, I'm going to add a few ingredients extra that's not on the box. Okay, so today we're going to be using cooking oil, brown eggs as you see, and we're going to use some hot chocolate Swiss mix to add some enhance the red velvet cake. And we got some water, and you're going to need a blender. Of course, I got a handheld uh, blender. You can use the round one, the electric blender, the with the big bowl if you have one of those. I don't have one of those. I just have this. So you're going to take a mixing bowl, and you're going to you're going to use the whole cake mix. Again, with red velvet, if you make a homemade red velvet, you would have to add one of the key ingredients is chocolate or cocoa. So me adding in the hot chocolate mix is just going to enhance the flavor of the cake. Now, just because it's a box cake, I always never just go by just the plain box. So now we are adding the hot chocolate, the cocoa mix into the cake. I used 2 packs. I didn't want to overpower it with the hot chocolate, but just a little bit, and it turned out good. I mean, if you want to use 3 packs, you can, but really the best thing to do is to buy the chocolate in the store where the bakery stuff is at, and they have it in a box, and it's like the chocolate for baking, baking cakes and stuff. You probably want to buy that if you want to just, if not, the hot cocoa mix like the Swiss Miss will work. Now we're using like a half a cup of cooking oil, and I guess that was 1 cup of water. I guess I had, yeah, 1 cup of water. So now that's the cooking oil. Now we're about to use 3 brown eggs. Now, I'm not sure why the brown eggs are better for baking, but they are. But like I said, you don't have to use brown eggs. You can use white eggs. They work just as good. So you have to use 3. Now we're taking the blender and we're going to blend all the ingredients in very uh, good. And I think I set it on to about 1 or 2. You don't want to set it too high, and then not too low. Um, and I let that mix for several minutes. Make sure there's no cake mix um, left out. You want to make sure it's mixed in really good. And then a lot of times what I'll do is take a spatula, and after I've finished mixing the cake mix with the handheld blender mixer, I'm sorry, the mixer, I take a spatula and just make sure there's no left out cake mix that didn't get mixed in with the batter. And see, that's what I'm doing now. I'm taking the spatula, just going around, because a lot of times when you're using the handheld mixer and you're using a bowl, there will be some cake mix that gets stuck and it doesn't blend in well. So you just want to make sure that it's all blended in very well, and just kind of stir it with the spatula. So be on the safe side. Just make sure it's stirred very well. And me, I would go in a second time. This is round 2, with blending it with with mixing it again with the handheld mixer. Just want to make sure that there is no extra cake mix that didn't get mixed in. So you don't have to do this, but I do it twice. I would recommend to do it twice. Like if you have a handheld mixer or blender, whatever you want to call it. Now I'm just removing the little beats from the mixer. And sometimes I take those and lick and lick the cake mix just to taste it. Now I have my baking cake pans. Now you can grease these cake pans like how you want to, but I'm old school. Learned this from my mom with excuse me, I'm sorry, my dog is cutting up. Yes, and Crisco stick. That's going to be what we're going to put at the in the pan, and we got some flour. About to show you how we're going to do this. Grease the pan and use the flour. Now, normally I would get the Crisco that comes in the round container, but at the time they was out of those. So I had to get the Crisco in the stick. Um, like as if you was getting buying stick butter. So it still worked out great. Crisco to me is like lard. Although once it's like heated on the stove, it turns into grease, and I think you can use it to fry, um, you know, things with. But right now I'm just using it for greasing the cake pans. But this is kind of like an old school way to do it. I mean, you can. I think you can use spray or just use some cooking oil and grease the pan, but you want to make sure when you do this, you take the paper towel, and as you see how shiny that pan is, that Crisco don't play. Um, you just put that. Make sure you put it all around the pan, the sides of the pan, and it should look like that. And you take the paper towel and you wipe it with some Crisco and spread it evenly throughout the pan. Shiny. Now I have my little measuring cup. That's like I want to say a tablespoon or teaspoon. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. I'm not really measuring the flour because the flour is going to get shifted all over the pan. So it's not no like exact measurement of how much flour. You want to use about that much, just a little bit to kind of coat the pan with the flour. This will help for the cake to not stick to the pan. But sometimes, like even when I take it out the oven and do this process of the Crisco and the flour, it may stick. You see how in there there's some of the center, not the center, but the outer corners. But I guess that's okay. When I took it out the oven, it did kind of stick a little bit. So I just took a spatula and just removed it out the pan. But I'll show you in later on in this video how I did that. And you see I'm going back with more flour to make sure I covered up those little spots there. And as you can see, I'm shifting the flour into the next pan because I'm not wasting any flour. Now you can, let's see, it's supposed to look like that. Now you can do this over like a, trash can or something. But any excess from this pan, I think I might have left, might not even need to put it in another pan because I think that's the right amount of flour. And just make sure you shift it all. So I got another bowl so I can put the excess flour in that bowl. All right, so next we should be taking the cake mix and putting it into the cake pans. It's gonna be half and half. Now, if you want to make like 3 layers of this, I would say use a box and a half. Um, you know, of cake mix if you was wanting to do like 3 layers. So that would make it 3, but 2 is fine because this is a moist cake, so it came out very moist. Now I'm taking a spatula, making sure I get all of the cake mix into the cake pan. Don't want to leave any cake mix in the bowl. Now I'm just taking a spatula and spreading the cake mix out evenly in the pan so that when it is baking in the oven, the layers of the cake can come out evenly. So just spread it out evenly before you even put it in the oven. I think I must have had too much in one. Just making sure I get all the cake mix from the spatula into the pan. Now it's ready to go in the oven. Now I'm about to start on the icing. Now, what I like to do with the icing, I could just take it straight out of the container and just slap it on the cake, but not me. I have to be extra. So I'm going to use finely chopped pecans, and I'm going to add some cream cheese to the icing. Excuse me, I think my dog, he just wanted to be in the video. His sound effects. Okay, yes, so that's what I'm doing. I'm putting the beets back onto the handheld mixer. Yeah, mixer. And I'm going to open up the icing and put it into the bowl. Then I'm going to cut up the cream cheese and put it into the with the icing, and then add the pecans to the icing as well. Now, adding the pecans is optional. You don't have to do that. If you're allergic to pecans or any kind of nuts, you don't have to add this. This is how I like to make my red velvet cake, with the icing with the pecans. And I don't think can't remember if I used all 3 or 4 of the icings. The reason why I got at least 4 is because I got these at the Dollar Tree, and they're just like half of size of the big icing that you would get. So that's why I had got more than like 2, because you see it's just only like a half size. And so like if you use 2 of those half size, that can equal to make 1. But I think I used like 3. Shango, would you stop? My gosh. I'm trying. I'm trying to work, and you want to just like, you want to help me? You want to finish the video? So, so I think so far I used three icing. So this is good icing. I think it's cream cheese or yeah, cream cheese icing. But like I said, I just like to add extra cream cheese. So I did use four of them. Okay. Just add the extra cream cheese to give it a little bit more richness. Okay. So this is the size of the regular. It's 15 ounce, like the regular big size of icing is 15 ounces, but that's half of the little ones that I have is half the size of that. So you would have to use at least two. You'll use at least two to equal to that one. So that is cream cheese. All right. And now I'm taking some Walmart brand cream cheese. The best cream cheese to use is the Philadelphia cream cheese, but you know, you can use whatever kind of cream cheese you want. But I'm just gonna put a little bit of cream cheese into there to give it a little bit more of a rich, kind of more rich flavor. So, all right. So I'm just cutting it. I like to cut my cream cheese up into little bitty blocks so that it can evenly get mixed in with the other icing, and so that it can, you know, evenly mix in all together. And I just cut it real small. Put those smaller pieces in there. I know this is about to be off topic, but I think I done spoiled my dog. And he is in my arms right now. I'm holding him. And he's quiet. But as soon as I let him down, he wants to fuss. So I'm just like, wow. He wants all of the attention on him. But it's all good. So I'm still working. And you know, pampering him at the same time. All right, so now we're putting in the finely chopped pecans. Like I said, this is optional. You don't have to do this. If you want to just take the icing straight out the container and slap it on a cake, you can do that. But like I said, I don't do that. I'm always adding extra. So we're not going to use the whole bag of this. I think maybe half a bag or something like that I use. So let's see. All right. So or you can buy the pecans that you can cut yourself, chop them up real fine. But I just didn't feel like going through that hassle. But once I noticed when I was in the store that they already had some finely chopped, I was like, yes, I'll just use those. So that's like about a half a cup. Okay, just use half a cup, kind of eyeball it first, I think. I don't know if I'm going to put any more in there or not. So I think that was just half a cup. And now I'm about to mix the ingredients all together. want to mix everything really good. Okay, now I'm finished and it should look like this. All right, should look like that. Okay, now we are done. The cakes are out the oven. I want to say they baked in the oven for about, you have to read the instructions on the box. I don't want to lie to you. But what I'm doing now is taking a spatula and going around the edge of the pan to make sure that it's not, the cake is not stuck around the edge when I get ready to take it out of the pan. But like I said, it did stick a little bit, but now I'm hitting the cake to loosen up to make sure it's not stuck too bad at the bottom. But it did stick a little bit, but I don't know what happened. I don't know if I didn't put enough Crisco or, but you know what I was thinking? Like the old school, and I think my mom still have one. What I should have did was shifted the flour. So I should have put the flour in a shifter, and it would have made the flour more fine. Because sometimes, you know, when you're open up flour, you think it's more like powdery, but sometimes flour has little I guess what you would call them, glumps or balls or whatever in the flour. And if it's not shifted before you put it in the pan, that could have been the problem. I don't know, but I was having a little hard time trying to take it out. Normally when I bake a cake, it don't stick. But you know what? I think too, I might have left the cake in the oven a little bit longer. Now, when I did this video, you probably gonna think I'm crazy. I actually baked this back in on Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving 2024. So me with videos, what I like to do is I record myself, or recording myself doing whatever, and I'll keep the videos for like weeks and maybe a couple of months before I even put it out. And I shouldn't be doing that, but uh, especially the ones that I have to do a voiceover. So yeah, normally when I bake a cake, it doesn't stick. But like I said, the oven that I have, I'm in my new apartment, and I hate that oven. Like they say, you want to try to blame it on something, but I can blame it on the oven. The oven kept turning on and off, and I don't know if that had anything to do with it. But like I said, normally when I bake a not a homemade, but a box cake, it just easily comes out of the pan. But this time I had a little struggle, but it still worked. It still worked. I still made it work. So what, there was some at the bottom, so all I did was scoop that out and put it in the fixed it back up. But like I said, normally I don't have a problem. I think it was just could have been just my oven. I really hate it. You know, because when I lived in my other place, I didn't have any problems with my oven, and when I bake the cake, it just comes out easily out of the cake pan. So I don't know what happened. But like I said, I still made it work. So now should be about to icing the first layer, which is the bottom layer, with the cream cheese icing with the pecans. So I put it in a bowl like this, and that's a lot of icing. But you'll be surprised. So if you ever make one of these box red velvet cakes, when you buy the icing for these cakes, make sure you buy 2 things of icing of the 15 ounce. You want to get 2 of them, because one is not enough for 2-layer cake. Okay, you want to get 2. That's why I'm glad I had like got four small ones at the Dollar Tree. Actually, I had a little bit of icing left over after I iced my red velvet cake, and that's a good thing. It's best to have some left over than not to have enough at all. Because the reason why I say that, you want to get two of them because you don't want a dry cake. And sometimes one is not enough. Sometimes one container of the icing is just mainly for one layer. So, and then you have the top layer, you may use that, maybe the second container of icing, which is 15 ounces, for the top layer. So if you're ever making a box cake like this, once again, buy two things of icing so you can make sure you have enough for your whole cake. And then if you want to do three layers, you may want to buy three things of icing. So, it just depends on how many, layers you want. I know some people can do four. I do two. So right now I'm working on this top layer here, the second layer. Now I hope this one wasn't too hard to come out. I think this one was a little bit easier than the first one. But I always just go around the pan. Oh, and I forgot, when you take these out of the oven, all right? And another reason why they probably stick is because I didn't have a cooling rack. Also, make sure you buy a cooling rack. You can get those at the dollar store. You can get them at any store. I'm pretty sure you can get them at Walmart or whatever. And a cooling rack is just to put your cakes on. And that's what I should have bought, but I didn't have that at the time. And I seen them in Dollar Tree so many times every time I go in there and never got one. So just buy you a cooling rack, and when you take your cakes out of the oven and they're still in the pan, please put them on that cooling rack. Buy at least two of them, two cooling racks, so you can put each pan on each one, so that way when you take your cakes out the oven, the heat is still, cooking the cake. So you put it on that rack to help, the cake cool off so it won't stick. Now, actually, that one came out perfect. I didn't have no problems with that pan coming out. But yeah, just make sure you get a cooling rack. I forgot to get one. Now we're going to icing the top layer. All right, so so I made a German chocolate, and I made a red velvet, and I made a peach cobbler for Thanksgiving last year, 2024. So this is what inspired me to do this video. I said, while I'm doing all this cooking, I might as well record me baking this red velvet box cake, even though it's a box cake. Now, the funny thing about cake, this may sound weird. Cake, to me, if I bake a cake, it tastes better like 2 days later. I don't know why, but I guess it gives the time for the flavors to sink in or something. I don't know. But when I taste the cake, the night of, after from baking it during the day, it tasted okay. It tasted all right. But I noticed when I ate a piece the second day or the third day, the cake was so good. I was like, this is a box cake. But it was a box cake. That's because I added little, like I said, I added the hot chocolate mix in the cake. And, just always add a little something extra just to enhance it. And then the icing, I added my own little pecans and a little bit of cream cheese, just to kind of make it, a little bit better. But red velvet cake is my favorite cake. So one of these days I'm gonna learn how to make a homemade red velvet cake. I haven't got to that point yet. But the box cake right now, it does the job. And like I said, I still had a little bit of icing left over. Like I said, you want to have icing. I would rather have icing left over than to not have enough. So you can, cover the whole cake. You know. And the white little bottom part is a cake. What is it called? Cake container. And I bought that from Dollar Tree for $1.25. And if you don't have one of those like cake containers, you can put the cake on a plate, like a if you have a big plate or something, and do it like that way. But I love these containers because it has a lid that goes on the top of it, and it saves your cake. All right, now I'm just going around the edges of the cake and you know putting the icing around the edges. Now I'm not a pro at icing a cake, um, but it may not look the best, but I try. But it doesn't look too bad. But I'll take time doing it. And then me just making it look a little fancy by doing this, just a little bit. I guess that helped out some. So now it looks nice and neat and good, which it was. It was good. And I enjoyed this cake. And this is what it looks like. This is the finished product. Red velvet box Betty Crocker cake. All right. It was so good. It was good. So thank you guys for watching my channel. And I will see you in the next video. Oh, the cake moved a little. All right. Bye, you guys.